Commander Sarah Chen stood at her post in the hollowed-out caverns beneath Olympus Mons, watching holographic projections dance across the command center's massive display. To the rest of the galaxy, Mars remained a barely habitable outpost with a few thousand colonists living in primitive domes. The truth, hidden beneath kilometers of red rock, told a very different story. Another probe from the Centaurian Empire, Lieutenant Marcus Wong reported, his fingers dancing through the air as he manipulated the quantum-encrypted sensor feeds, following the same predictable scan pattern. They're still buying the facade. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. For over 70 years, humanity had maintained what they called the Great Charade, presenting themselves to the galaxy as a struggling young species barely capable of reaching their own moon. The reality, concealed by technologies that the arrogant Centaurian Empire couldn't even comprehend, was Earth's greatest weapon. "Show me the latest intelligence from their fleet movements," Sarah commanded. The holographic display shifted, revealing hundreds of Centaurian warships gathering at the edge of the Sol system. Their angular vessels, gleaming with what they considered advanced technology, would have been impressive to the primitive humans they expected to find. "They're following the same timeline our predictive AI suggested," Marcus noted. "The Centaurian Council believes they're coming to save us from ourselves. Their propaganda networks are already preparing victory speeches about uplifting another primitive species." Sarah's dark eyes hardened. The Centaurians, like most of the galaxy's elder races, had never bothered to look deeper than humanity's carefully constructed surface. They saw the occasional failed rocket launch, the clumsy space stations, the pollution still clouding Earth's atmosphere. They watched humans wage their small wars and struggle with climate change. And in their supreme arrogance, they never once questioned why a species capable of splitting the atom couldn't seem to progress beyond chemical rockets. "Status of the Phantom Fleet?" she asked, turning to her second-in-command, Colonel David Rivera. "All 2,000 ships maintain quantum stealth," he reported. "The dark matter reactors are running silent, and the phase shift drives are ready. We could have the entire fleet deployed within 3 minutes of your command. 2,000 warships, each more advanced than anything the Centaurians had ever encountered, hidden in plain sight throughout the solar system. While humanity launched their primitive rockets for show, they had been building something unprecedented. Vessels that could shift partially out of normal space-time, weapons that could target quantum weak points in enemy shields, and defensive systems that made them virtually untouchable." "And the Tartarus Protocol?" Sarah asked, referring to their most closely guarded secret. David's expression grew serious. "The quantum entanglement network is stable. If they follow their usual tactics, they'll try to disable our communications first. They'll have no idea we don't rely on conventional signals at all." A junior officer rushed into the command center, her face flushed with excitement. "Commander, the Centaurian advance scouts just breached the Kuiper Belt. They're moving faster than expected." Sarah nodded, unsurprised. The Centaurians always did this, sent their fastest ships ahead to shock and awe the primitive species they were uplifting. They would expect to find a few outdated defense satellites, maybe some basic missile platforms. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity had spent 7 decades pretending to be less than they were. "Begin Phase 1, she ordered. Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum sensors tracked the approaching Centaurian vessels. In bases beneath Mars, Europa, and Titan, humanity's real military force stood ready. The greatest deception in galactic history was about to be revealed. "Send the coded quantum burst to all commands," Sarah continued. "Operation Shadowfall is now active. Maintain complete stealth protocols until the primary fleet enters the inner solar system. Let them think they have us surrounded. Let them prepare their speeches about saving us from ourselves." As she watched the tactical display, Sarah thought about all the sacrifices that had led to this moment. The brilliant scientists who had worked in complete secrecy, the enormous resources diverted to the Shadow program, the countless men and women who had maintained the facade of technological backwardness, while building something revolutionary. The Centaurians would arrive expecting to find a primitive species struggling to reach the stars. Instead, they would discover that humanity had already mastered technologies they couldn't imagine. While they wasted energy on massive engines and brute force shields, humans had learned to slip between the quantum fabric of space itself. While they relied on conventional weapons, humanity had developed ways to target the fundamental forces holding matter together. They're launching their standard sensor probes, Marcus reported. Still no indication they've detected anything unusual. Of course they hadn't. Human quantum stealth technology didn't just hide their ships. It bent probability itself, making it mathematically impossible for Centaurian sensors to detect anything they weren't meant to see. To their most advanced scanning systems, the Sol system appeared exactly as it should: primitive, developing, and defenseless. Sarah touched the quantum-linked neural interface at the base of her skull, connecting directly with the command network. Throughout the solar system, other commanders did the same, their minds joining in a secure quantum network that no conventional technology could detect or interrupt. "All commands acknowledge ready status," she announced. "Remember, we reveal nothing until they commit their main fleet. Let them come in close. Let them think they have us surrounded. Then we'll show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our patience." The message went out through quantum channels undetectable to Centaurian sensors. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden forces acknowledged the command and prepared for the coming storm. The galaxy had dismissed them as primitive for too long, and now they would learn the price of that arrogance. High above, Earth continued its peaceful rotation, appearing to all outside observers as nothing more than a somewhat primitive world of limited technological capability. But beneath that carefully maintained image, humanity's trap was set, and the countdown to revelation had begun. For 70 years, they had waited. For 70 years, they had built and planned and prepared while the galaxy laughed at their supposed backwardness. Now, finally, they would show the Centaurians, and all the elder races, exactly what humanity was capable of when pushed too far. The first Centaurian scouts would reach Mars' orbit within hours. And then, at last, the great charade would end. Dr. Maya Patel's fingers danced through the quantum hologram interface in her laboratory deep within Europa's ice crust. Through the reinforced windows behind her, bioluminescent organisms cultivated by humanity cast an ethereal blue glow across the moon's subsurface ocean. To the Centaurians scanning above, the light would appear natural, just another primitive wonder in a primitive solar system. Quantum phase variance detected in Grid 7, her AI assistant reported. Centaurian scout ship passing within 2,000 kilometers of Phantom Dreadnought Artemis. Maya smiled as she watched the data streams. The Centaurian vessel was practically close enough to touch the massive human warship, yet their sensors detected nothing. The quantum phase technology she had helped develop didn't just hide their ships, it shifted them partially out of conventional reality, making detection impossible through any known means. "They're getting bolder," Colonel Rivera's voice came through the quantum link. 3 more scout ships just entered the inner system. "They're not even trying to hide their approach anymore." "Of course not," Maya responded, her hands still moving through the holographic controls. "Why should they? As far as they know, we can barely track objects in our own asteroid belt. Their stealth technology is centuries ahead of what they think we have." A priority alert flashed across her neural interface. The Centaurian Council was broadcasting another public declaration about their upcoming humanitarian intervention in the Sol system. Maya patched it through to the command network. The holographic image of High Chancellor Vexlor materialized, tall, elegant, and radiating that particular brand of patronizing concern that the elder races had perfected over millennia. "We can no longer stand idle while these primitive humans destroy their own world," the translated voice declared. "It is our moral duty to guide them toward proper civilization, to save them from their own destructive nature." Maya's hands clenched. She had spent 20 years developing the technologies that would prove just how primitive humanity really was. The quantum phase drives were just the beginning. What would the Centaurians think when they discovered that humans had mastered dark matter manipulation? That while they were perfecting brute force energy shields, humanity had learned to selectively alter the fundamental forces holding matter together. Dr. Patel. Commander Chen's voice came through the quantum link. Status report on the Tartarus protocol. Maya brought up another set of holographic displays. Final calibrations are complete. All quantum entanglement nodes are synchronized. The moment they try to disable our conventional communications, we'll have them trapped in our quantum web. The Tartarus protocol was perhaps their greatest achievement, a vast network of quantum entangled nodes hidden throughout the solar system. When activated, it would create a localized field where the laws of physics themselves could be subtly altered. The Centaurians' mighty weapons would find their energy dissipating into nothing. Their advanced shields would flicker and fail as the fundamental forces they relied on became unreliable. Multiple signatures detected approaching Mars, Colonel Rivera reported. Looks like they're setting up for their first demonstration of force. Standard Centaurian tactics. They'll target our primitive defense platforms, then demand immediate surrender. Maya watched through quantum-enhanced sensors as the Centaurian vessels moved into attack formation. They were beautiful ships, she had to admit, sleek, powerful, and built with technology that would have seemed godlike to humans a century ago. But there was an arrogance to their design, a reliance on brute force rather than innovation. They had stopped pushing boundaries, content in their supposed superiority. All research teams begin final preparations. Commander Chen ordered through the quantum network. They'll likely strike within the next 6 hours. Remember, we reveal nothing until they commit their main fleet. Let them think their first strikes were successful. Let them believe we're helpless. Maya turned to her research team, scattered throughout hidden bases across the solar system. For decades, they had worked in complete secrecy, pushing the boundaries of physics while maintaining the illusion of technological backwardness. Now, finally, they would see the fruits of their labor. Quantum phase generators at full capacity, she reported. Dark matter reactors running silent. Tartarus grid nodes all showing green status. We're ready, Commander. Through the quantum link, she could sense the anticipation building throughout humanity's hidden forces. The Centaurians thought they were coming to save a primitive species from itself. Instead, they were about to become an object lesson for the galaxy, a demonstration of what happened when you underestimated humanity's potential. New transmission from the Centaurian fleet, Colonel Rivera announced. Their broadcasting on all frequencies were supposed to be capable of detecting. Standard first contact package. Demands for surrender wrapped in diplomatic language about uplifting primitive species. Maya allowed herself a small laugh. The Centaurians had spent months preparing for this moment, carefully crafting messages that would simultaneously intimidate and reassure their primitive human audience. They had no idea that humanity had been intercepting and analyzing their quantum-encrypted communications for decades. Ready quantum probe array, Commander Chen ordered. The moment they launched their first strike, I want detailed scans of their weapon signatures. Confirm all our predictions about their technology. Maya's fingers flew across the holographic controls, preparing the ultra-sensitive quantum sensors that would analyze every aspect of the Centaurian attack. Even their demonstration of force would provide valuable data, helping humanity fine-tune their countermeasures. Through the quantum network, she could sense the other research teams doing the same. In bases hidden beneath Mars' polar ice caps, inside the storms of Jupiter, and deep within asteroid cores, humanity's greatest minds prepared to put decades of theoretical work to the ultimate test. The Centaurians were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their ability to innovate, to think differently, to see possibilities where others saw only limitations. And as Maya watched their ships move into attack position, she felt not fear, but anticipation. The greatest scientific experiment in human history was about to begin. The Centaurian strike force descended upon Mars with the casual confidence of a titan swatting an insect. Their capital ships, each nearly 3 kilometers long, moved into perfect attack formation above the red planet's atmosphere. On their sensors, Mars presented only a handful of primitive defense satellites and a few scattered colony domes, barely worth the energy their weapons would expend. Admiral Vextrol stood on the bridge of the Centaurian flagship, Eternal Dominion, watching the tactical displays with an air of bored satisfaction. "Begin the demonstration," he ordered. "Target their primitive defense platforms first. Let them see how hopeless resistance would be." Particle beams lanced out from the Centaurian vessels, each carrying enough energy to vaporize a small city. They struck the handful of visible human defense satellites, destroying them instantly. To any observer, it would have appeared to be a devastating show of force against humanity's best defenses. Deep beneath the Martian surface, Commander Sarah Chen watched the attack through quantum-enhanced sensors. "Right on schedule," she noted. "They didn't even bother scanning for subsurface installations. Record everything. Every weapon signature, every shield frequency, every communication pattern." The Centaurian ships moved closer to Mars, their sensors probing the surface for signs of military installations. They found exactly what humanity wanted them to find: a few underground bunkers with primitive shield technology, seemingly humanity's last line of defense. "Incoming transmission," Lieutenant Wang reported. "They're demanding immediate surrender of all Mars colonies." Sarah nodded. "Send the response we prepared. Make it sound appropriately terrified." A carefully crafted message was transmitted using conventional radio waves, filled with the panic and fear the Centaurians expected from a primitive species facing their mighty fleet. Admiral Vextrol's lips curled in a satisfied smile as he received it. "Such predictable creatures," he mused. "Initiate Phase 2. Target their underground installations. Show them the futility of hiding from the Centaurian Empire." The flagship's main weapon powered up, a massive particle cannon designed to penetrate deep into planetary crusts. As it prepared to fire, Dr. Maya Patel's voice came through the quantum link. "Tartarus nodes in position. Ready to initiate on your command." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Let them fire first. Let's see exactly what their best weapons can do." The Centaurian particle beam struck Mars' surface with devastating force, boring through kilometers of rock toward what they believed was a primitive human bunker. The explosion was visible from orbit, a massive plume of red dust and molten rock erupting into the thin Martian atmosphere. "Direct hit," one of Vextrol's officers reported. Their bunkered shields lasted less than a second. "No survivors possible." The Admiral nodded, satisfied. "Begin broadcasting on all frequencies. Tell them this was just a demonstration, that their remaining colonies will be spared if they surrender immediately." But before the message could be sent, something impossible happened. The quantum fabric of space itself seemed to ripple around the Centaurian fleet. Warning alarms screamed as their sensors suddenly reported contradictory readings from every direction. "Multiple contacts." An officer shouted, his composure cracking. "Massive energy signatures appearing. Everywhere. This can't be right. The readings suggest thousands of ships, but there's nothing visible." Sarah's voice cut through the quantum network. "Initiate Shadowfall. All Phantom Fleet vessels, reveal yourselves." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden warships phased back into normal spacetime. They seemed to materialize from nothing, their quantum phase drives allowing them to slip back into reality like ghosts becoming solid. The Centaurian fleet found themselves suddenly surrounded by vessels unlike anything they had ever encountered. "Impossible," Vextrol whispered, watching as his tactical display filled with thousands of human ships. Their design was alien even by galactic standards, angular yet fluid, as if they were only partially existing in normal space. "They're primitives. They barely have fusion power." "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force." Her voice came through on all Centaurian frequencies. "Your demonstration has been noted. Allow us to respond in kind." Before the Centaurians could react, the Tartarus protocol activated. The quantum-entangled nodes created a field that subtly altered the laws of physics themselves within a defined area. The Centaurian ship's shields flickered and died as the fundamental forces they relied on became unpredictable. "Target their weapon systems only," Sarah ordered. "Minimal quantum lance bursts. Let's show them what precise force looks like." Human quantum weapons fired. Not the brute force particle beams the Centaurians used, but precisely targeted bursts that affected matter at the quantum level. Each shot disabled a Centaurian weapon system without causing catastrophic damage to the ships themselves. Within minutes, the mighty Centaurian strike force was completely defenseless, their weapons dead, their shields useless, their engines sputtering as the altered physics within the Tartarus field played havoc with their systems. "Send the response we prepared," Sarah commanded. "Let's educate them about the dangers of underestimating primitive species." "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force." Her voice came through on all Centaurian frequencies. "Your demonstration has been noted. Allow us to respond in kind." Before the Centaurians could react, the Tartarus protocol activated. The quantum-entangled nodes created a field that subtly altered the laws of physics themselves within a defined area. The Centaurian ship's shields flickered and died as the fundamental forces they relied on became unpredictable. "Target their weapon systems only," Sarah ordered. "Minimal quantum lance bursts. Let's show them what precise force looks like." Human quantum weapons fired. Not the brute force particle beams the Centaurians used, but precisely targeted bursts that affected matter at the quantum level. Each shot disabled a Centaurian weapon system without causing catastrophic damage to the ships themselves. Within minutes, the mighty Centaurian strike force was completely defenseless, their weapons dead, their shields useless, their engines sputtering as the altered physics within the Tartarus field played havoc with their systems. "Send the response we prepared," Sarah commanded. "Let's educate them about the dangers of underestimating primitive species." Throughout the Centaurian fleet, screens came to life showing recorded images of humanity's true technological achievements: the quantum phase drives, the dark matter reactors, the vast underground cities and shipyards that had remained hidden for decades. Each image was carefully chosen to demonstrate just how completely they had been deceived. "You thought you were coming to save us," Sarah's voice echoed through every Centaurian ship, "to lift us out of our primitive state. Instead, you've given us the opportunity to demonstrate why appearances can be deceiving. Your fleet is disabled but intact, a courtesy we extended to prove a point. The next move is yours, Admiral. Choose carefully." In his flagship's command center, Admiral Vextrol stared at the tactical displays in stunned silence. The humans hadn't just defeated them. They had revealed that everything the Centaurians believed about their own technological superiority had been built on a carefully constructed lie. And somewhere in the vast network of quantum channels that humans apparently commanded, messages were already spreading throughout the galaxy. The age of dismissing humanity as primitive was over. The real question was, what would they reveal next? The Centaurian High Council chamber erupted in chaos as the reports from Admiral Vextrol's fleet reached their homeworld. The massive holographic displays showed images that seemed impossible: human ships appearing from nowhere, weapons that ignored the laws of physics, and defensive systems that made their most powerful attacks useless. High Chancellor Vexlor stood silent, watching the recordings for the third time. The humans hadn't just defeated their strike force. They had humiliated it with casual ease, displaying technology that shouldn't have been possible for centuries to come. "How long?" he finally asked, his voice cutting through the panicked discussions. "How long have they been deceiving us?" In her command center beneath Olympus Mons, Commander Sarah Chen watched the Centaurian Council's reaction through quantum-tapped feeds. "They're responding exactly as predicted," she noted to her staff. "Move to Phase 4 of the operation." Throughout the solar system, humanity's Phantom Fleet began a series of carefully choreographed maneuvers. Some ships would briefly phase into normal space before disappearing again, while others demonstrated capabilities that would leave Centaurian scientists baffled for years. But they never revealed everything. Each demonstration was precisely calculated to suggest even greater powers held in reserve. The main Centaurian fleet is changing course, Colonel Rivera reported. They're pulling back to the Kuiper Belt. Looks like they're calling for reinforcements. Sarah nodded. Just as expected. Dr. Patel, how are they adapting to the Tartarus field? Maya's voice came through the quantum link, tinged with professional satisfaction. They're trying to modify their shields to compensate for the local physics variations. It's fascinating. They're actually attempting to brute force their way through quantum uncertainty itself. It won't work, of course, but the attempt shows impressive resource management. The strategic dance continued across the solar system. The Centaurians would probe with new tactics, and humanity would respond with just enough force to defeat them, while hinting at greater capabilities. It was a chess game played across the void, with each move carefully designed to shake the enemy's perceptions. New transmission from their High Council, Lieutenant Wong announced. They're requesting a diplomatic meeting. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This, too, had been predicted. The moment when the Centaurians would realize that raw power wasn't enough, that they needed to understand what they were truly facing. Send them the coordinates for the meeting site, she ordered. Let's show them our Europa facility. The message was sent, and within hours, a single Centaurian diplomatic vessel was approaching Jupiter's ice-covered moon. They had been given safe passage, their sensors allowed to detect just enough to realize how much they still couldn't see. High Chancellor Vexlor himself had come, his tall frame draped in the formal robes of his office. As he stepped into the massive underwater facility beneath Europa's ice, his carefully maintained composure slipped for just a moment. The base wasn't just advanced, it was elegant in ways that made Centaurian technology look crude by comparison. Welcome to Europa Station, Sarah greeted him, standing with her hands clasped behind her back. I trust the quantum tunnel transport wasn't too disorienting. The High Chancellor stared at her for a long moment. You've had quantum tunneling technology all this time, while we watched your chemical rockets and laughed. We've had many things, Sarah replied calmly. Would you like to know why we waited until now to reveal them? She led him to a viewing window overlooking the vast underwater shipyards, where more Phantom Fleet vessels were under construction. Your empire has a history of uplifting primitive species, she continued. You give them technology, guide their development, and in return, they become dependent on you. We chose a different path. By deceiving the entire galaxy. Vexlor's voice held a mix of anger and reluctant admiration. By developing on our own terms, Sarah corrected. While you watched our surface activities and dismissed us as primitives, we were free to innovate in ways your civilization abandoned centuries ago. You relied on brute force. We explored quantum manipulation. You built bigger engines. We learned to slit between space-time itself. A holographic display activated, showing the current positions of human and Centaurian forces throughout the solar system. The tactical situation was clear. Humanity could have destroyed the entire Centaurian fleet at any time, but had chosen not to. Now you have a choice, Sarah continued. Your reinforcements will arrive within days. You can escalate this conflict, force us to reveal more of our capabilities, and bear the consequences. Or we can discuss a new relationship between our civilizations, one based on mutual respect, rather than assumed superiority. Vexlor studied the tactical display, his expression unreadable. And if we choose conflict? In response, Sarah activated another hologram, this one showing something that made the High Chancellor step back in shock. That's impossible, he whispered. You can't have. We have many impossibilities, Sarah replied calmly. Would you like to see more? Or shall we discuss how to move forward in a way that benefits both our peoples? The High Chancellor was silent for a long moment, his worldview visibly shifting as he processed the implications. The humans hadn't just matched Centaurian technology. They had surpassed it in ways that would reshape the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Your terms? He finally asked. Sarah smiled. First, you're going to understand exactly why underestimating primitive species is a dangerous mistake. Then, we're going to have a long discussion about the true meaning of civilization. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden forces remained on alert, ready to reveal more of their capabilities if necessary. But for now, the chess game had reached a critical phase, one where the true power lay not in weapons or technology, but in the ability to shape the future of galactic civilization itself. And as Sarah began outlining humanity's vision for that future, she knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn that true advancement came not from raw power or assumed superiority, but from the endless human drive to innovate, adapt, and overcome. 3 months after the confrontation at Europa, Commander Sarah Chen stood in the Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Confederation. The massive hall, designed to humble visitors with its scale and grandeur, now seemed oddly antiquated compared to the quantum architecture of humanity's hidden cities. Representatives from 1,000 worlds watched in stunned silence as she activated a holographic display that filled the chamber. It showed not just Earth's solar system, but dozens of others, each containing hidden human outposts and facilities that had remained undetected for decades. While you watched our chemical rockets and dismissed us as primitives, Sarah began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber, humanity was preparing for this moment. Not just in our solar system, but throughout this sector of the galaxy. The display shifted, showing quantum phase ships emerging from hidden bases in supposedly uninhabited systems. Human facilities uncloaking themselves on moons and asteroids that had been surveyed dozens of times by Confederation scouts. Each revelation hammered home the same message. The galaxy's understanding of humanity had been based on a carefully crafted illusion. Dr. Maya Patel stood beside her, operating the quantum interface that controlled the presentation. Our greatest advantage wasn't our technology, she explained to the assembled representatives. It was your certainty that you knew what we were capable of. That certainty blinded you to the possibility that a primitive species could innovate in ways you had never imagined. The images shifted again, showing the true extent of human quantum phase technology. Ships that could exist partially outside normal spacetime, communication systems that operated through quantum entanglement, immune to interception or interference, power sources that tapped into the fundamental forces of reality itself. But this revelation isn't about humiliation or revenge, Sarah continued. It's about understanding, about recognizing that progress doesn't always follow a predictable path. That innovation often comes from those you least expect. High Chancellor Vexlor, now serving as the liaison between humanity and the Confederation, stepped forward. I have seen their capabilities firsthand, he announced. What they offer us now is not submission or dominance, but partnership, a chance to learn from each other's achievements and mistakes. The display changed one final time, showing something that caused gasps and murmurs throughout the chamber. It was a visual representation of humanity's most closely guarded secret, the true nature of the Tartarus Protocol. What you're seeing is not just a weapon or a defense system, Maya explained. It's a method of studying and manipulating the quantum fabric of reality itself. We discovered it by accident, while your scientists dismissed it as impossible. And now we offer to share this knowledge, not as primitive students seeking guidance, but as equals bringing new insights to the galactic community. Sarah stepped forward, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's long-hidden truth. We could have revealed ourselves years ago. We could have used our advantages to dominate or destroy. Instead, we chose patience. We chose to understand. And now we choose to offer a new way forward. The chamber erupted in discussion as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just deceived them. They had used that deception to advance beyond anything the Confederation had thought possible. And now they were offering to share that advancement, but only on terms of absolute equality. The age of uplifting primitive species is over, Sarah declared. The future belongs to those who can recognize potential in all its forms, who can see past their preconceptions to the possibilities that lie beyond. As if to emphasize her point, quantum phase ships began appearing in orbit around every major Confederation world, not as a threat, but as a demonstration. They had been there all along, watching and waiting, their presence hidden by technology that the Confederation was only now beginning to comprehend. We propose a new framework for galactic civilization, Sarah continued. One based not on age or assumed superiority, but on innovation, adaptation, and mutual respect. The Tartarus Protocol was just the beginning. Together, we can explore aspects of reality that none of us have yet imagined. Maya activated the final part of their presentation, a detailed proposal for restructuring galactic society, research partnerships that would combine Confederation experience with human innovation, cultural exchanges that would preserve the best of both while fostering new growth, defense agreements that would protect all species, not just the supposedly advanced ones. The choice is yours, Sarah concluded. Continue clinging to old hierarchies and risk stagnation, or embrace a future where advancement comes from unexpected places, where being primitive or advanced matters less than being willing to think differently. Throughout the chamber, representatives began signaling their support. They had seen enough to understand that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity's deception had revealed not just their technological achievements, but the flaws in the Confederation's entire approach to civilization. As the session concluded, Sarah and Maya shared a knowing look. This was just the beginning. Humanity had more secrets, more innovations hidden away in quantum-shifted facilities throughout the galaxy. But those would be revealed gradually, as the new partnership proved itself. The age of dismissing species as primitive was over. The age of true collaboration, of innovation unrestricted by preconception or prejudice, was about to begin. And humanity, having shed its mask of technological backwardness, would help lead the way into this uncertain but promising future. Ready quantum transport, Sarah commanded through her neural interface. Let's show them what else we've been working on while they weren't looking. The future was unwritten, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again, and perhaps that had been the greatest victory of all.